Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Tonight on Our News, charges in a crash that killed a couple on Christmas Day. What a new U.S. policy could mean for Bahamian travelers. Plus, the crisis center alarmed by a jump in sexual offenses. Welcome to Our News and thanks for joining us. I'm Christina Dragovich. Topping news tonight, one day after his inauguration, U.S. President Joe Biden signing an executive order that will require international travelers to the U.S. to provide proof of a negative COVID test as well as quarantine. Biden says as America has seen more than 24 million Americans infected with COVID-19 and 3,000 to 4,000 COVID-related deaths per day, changes have to be made, including with international travel.
In light of the new COVID variants that you're learning about, we're instituting now a new measure for individuals flying into the United States from other countries. In addition to wearing masks, everyone flying to the United States from another country will need to test before they get on that plane, before they depart, and quarantine when they arrive in America.
Biden did not say how long international travelers will have to quarantine, but the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention currently has the Bahamas ranked at level 4, meaning very high levels of COVID-19. The CDC on its website recommends that Americans traveling to the Bahamas get tested 3 to 5 days upon returning and quarantine at home for an additional 7 days. Biden calling his team's plan to fight COVID-19 a full wartime plan.
And when I say wartime, people kind of look at me like wartime. Well, as I said last night, 400,000 Americans have died. That's more than have died in all of World War II. 400,000. This is a wartime undertaking.
In other news, a man was charged for his alleged role in a car accident that killed a married couple on Christmas Day. Jared Higgs has the details.
33-year-old Alexander Butler pleaded not guilty to 2 counts of killing in the course of dangerous driving for his role in a Christmas Day car crash that killed married couple Brent and Ulona Johnson. According to prosecutors, at around 6:10 p.m. on Christmas Day, Butler was driving a vehicle with license plate number AQ5524 on West Bay Street in a manner that was dangerous to the public and that resulted in the deaths of the married couple. It also left the couple's daughters, ages 12 and 16, badly injured. Police reports at that time stated that a Honda Accord was attempting to overtake another vehicle when it collided with the Nissan March traveling in the opposite direction. The Johnsons died on the scene. And while he pleaded not guilty to the killing in the course of dangerous driving charges, Butler, a butcher by profession, pleaded guilty to driving without third-party risk insurance on that Christmas Day. His lawyer, Dominique Roll, applied for bail, but prosecutor Samantha Maya objected, telling the court that she didn't have sufficient time to review the file. Chief Magistrate Joyanne Ferguson Pratt agreed with the Crown and adjourned the matter to January 28th for a decision on bail. Emotional relatives of the accused hugged him before he was remanded to the Bahamas Department of Corrections. Family members of the traffic fatality victims observed quietly. Reporting for Our News, I'm Jared Higgs.
Well, funerals on New Providence, Abaco, and mainland Eleuthera and Exuma are now allowed to have a maximum of 20 people at the graveside only. It was one of several restrictions eased by the Office of the Prime Minister last night, which includes permitting wedding ceremonies at religious facilities to have a maximum of 20 people. However, Bahamas Christian Council President Bishop Delton Fernandez says it's despicable and the changes to funeral restrictions are not enough.
I think some of the challenges are still not being addressed. The challenge of cremation, if I have a cremation without a body that needs to be interred, if you're not giving the facilities to be open for memorials or funerals, how do I bring closure to that family? That might be 20, that might be 10, but should we go to a graveyard and have a service in the graveyard just for somebody who's cremated? I think more thought needs to be given that these are real scenarios.
Prior to the change, families were only allowed to have 10 people at a graveside funeral. Fernandez says he feels the government has become disconnected from the people in this regard as families are hurting.
I think they need to feel the John public calling them and letting them know that this is despicable. that we really can't bring closure to our families, and we need to solve real problems. I don't want to be political, so all parties go through this. Right. They get in a bubble where they get detached from society. Sometimes you need to come out of your bubble and talk to real people and hear real problems. Politicians come and go. Pastors, we deal with everyday challenges with everyday people every day of the week. And that gives you a pulse of where people are hurting and what's going on.
Eased restrictions also include permission for pharmacies, gas stations, and laundromats on New Providence and Abaco to operate on Sundays between 6 a.m. and 9 a.m. Outdoor dining will also be permitted on Sundays between those hours. And Bahamas Crisis Center Director Sandra Dean Patterson expressing alarm tonight over the increase in sexual offenses, most of which she says involve young female victims. Kyle Joaquin reports.
Dean Patterson said the issue of rape is one that needed to be addressed urgently for quite some time now. But she said the crisis center is even more concerned now given the increase in cases involving young girls.
It's very upsetting and disheartening to see it.
As police note a 34% increase in sexual offenses that occurred in 2020 compared to 2019, Crisis Center Director Sandra Dean Patterson said it's concerning that after years of urging for more to be done in the fight against sexual assault, young girls continue to represent the largest chunk of victims.
There's always been twice as many children and young persons under 16 who've been sexually assaulted than adult women. There's always been that doubling. And we must know that reported sexual assault is just that, reported. Internationally, it's been shown that 65% of rapes are not reported.
Dean Patterson says in getting reports and dealing with young women seeking help, most of the victims are assaulted by men they know.
It's often positions of trust, whether it's a family member or a neighbor or a jitney driver or a youth leader, somebody who's in a position of trust. And then, of course, there are also those girls who run away.
She said, unfortunately, many times these young girls who run away and are found with men are blamed when it is, in fact, the man who is committing the crime, as those teen girls are not of age to consent to sexual activity. The Crisis Center Director added it appears the judicial system fails most victims of sexual assault in the country.
If you look at the courts, maybe 15 cases at the most were cleared in the court. So what does that say? Most perpetrators get away.
National Security Minister Marvin Dames just this week said it's time for the country to see who these sex offenders are and that a trial run for a sex offenders registry will begin by the end of the first quarter. In the meantime, Dean Patterson says she appreciates the adjustment made by the police commissioner in making women feel safer coming forward.
And he has since put in place some systems that will enable privacy and victims to go to the police to make their report in a much more humane, victim-centered way. And I want to say kudos to him for that.
For Our News, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
Clear skies this evening. Greg Thompson is in the Weather Center with the details.
Thanks, Christina. I'm meteorologist Greg Thompson with your first look at weather. Beautiful conditions around the islands once again today as high pressure remains dominant weather feature. Temperatures are now getting into the low 70s. 72 is our current temperature outside our studios with just a few clouds outside. Winds out of the east-northeast at 6 knots. Feels like temperature still in the low 70s. Satellite view around the area. Beautiful conditions. High pressure in charge. That frontal boundary that was backed up across the central Bahamas now into the southeast Bahamas. We expect that frontal boundary to continue to dissipate over the next couple of days. That's your first look at weather. Your extended forecast is still to come.
Still to come on our news, the Bahamas listed among countries beating COVID, plus the latest from our mission to Washington. Stay with us.
Basketball is back, baby, and so is NBA League Pass, only with Rev Trio. Sign up for Rev Trio today and enjoy NBA League Pass absolutely free, along with incredible prizes including a brand new 50-inch smart TV, NBA gear, and more. With tons of prizes and gear, signing up for Trio is the best on and off-court move this year. Just call 601-8992 or visit www.rev.bs/promotions/trio. Sign up for Rev Trio today and enjoy NBA League Pass absolutely free.
According to endcoronavirus.org, the Bahamas is among fewer than 30 countries currently beating COVID-19. The website includes plots of normalized daily new cases versus time with a 7-day average. The Bahamas is in the winning category along with countries such as Australia, which has a recent average of 1 case, Trinidad and Tobago with an average of 17, St. Kitts and Nevis with an average of 0, and Dominica also with a 0 average. The website also keeps an eye on countries that are nearly there and those that need to take action. EndCoronavirus.org is an international volunteer coalition made up of scientists, community organizers, citizens, and business owners. Well, 2 Venezuelan women and a foreign man are in immigration custody today after one of the women told authorities she no longer wished to travel with the man. According to Superintendent Teresita Pinder, police on Bimini received a distress call from one of the resorts on the island. When police and immigration investigated the matter, a Venezuelan woman told them that she no longer wished to travel with a foreign male companion. All 3 were taken into immigration custody. The second Venezuelan woman never made a complaint. And PLP Deputy Leader Chester Cooper demanding that the government provide an update on the status of the sale of the Grand Lucayan Resort. Bethany McDermott has that.
Weeks before the Grand Lucayan Resort is scheduled to open its doors, PLP Deputy Leader Chester Cooper is urging government to make the terms of the Grand Lucayan deal public. Cooper says the PLP is concerned about the negotiations.
We do not trust this government to negotiate on our behalf. We've seen what they've done previously, and therefore it's important that they unseal it, they lay the details bare so that the public can examine for themselves the circumstances and the terms of the deal.
Government purchased the Grand Lucayan Resort in August 2018 for $65 million. Late last year, government began negotiations for a sale to Royal Caribbean and the ITM Group. When contacted for confirmation on whether the resort will reopen on February 1st as planned, lead negotiator Michael Scott told the Nassau Guardian he hasn't been involved with it for a while.
We were alarmed, flabbergasted I might say, when the chairman of the Hotel Corporation, chairman of the Grand Lucayan Holdings, indicated to the press that he was no longer involved with the negotiations. We only left to deduce that he is concerned about the deal on the table and may in fact be at a point where he is finding that that deal is being accepted against his wish.
As for that February 1st reopening date, Cooper says it seems the Minister administration has yet to lay out a plan outlining how this will happen.
We understand that the government is about to reopen this property without any clear plan or without any clear strategy, without any real negotiation for airlift and getting heads in beds. We want to understand whether this will cost us to spend even more millions of dollars on top of what we believe at the moment is $150 million already spent.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Bethany McDermott.
Now that a new administration has taken office in the United States, there are high hopes for change in America. But where does this leave the Bahamas? Our Jerome Sawyer is in Washington this week and talks to some Bahamians about how the future of the Bahamas is tied to the next 4 years of America.
Brought to you by CostRite, where you can get the membership card that pays for itself.
A new American president brings the expectation of change. Observers see the shift from a Republican to a Democratic administration as bringing major policy shifts. And the Bahamas is no doubt hoping to be on the Biden administration's radar, albeit in a positive way. For one, it's been 10 years since Ambassador Nicole Avant left her post as ambassador to the Bahamas. Christopher Gardner is a CPA who runs a prestigious accounting firm in D.C. He's involved in D.C. politics and an influencer within the Caribbean diaspora here. He says no sitting U.S. ambassador for the Bahamas for so long sends a clear message.
If you don't have an ambassador, you don't have that conduit on the ground that you can form relationships with and sort of get your point across to the government. And it also seemed to me that if you don't have an ambassador, the government in place is telling you something. I don't think you're important enough for an ambassador, or for some reason they don't feel the relationship is going to be what they needed to be.
Photojournalist Felipe Major has been under 3 different administrations in 7 years. He's seen Bahamians take a much more active role in American politics.
I think Bahamians is now getting more involved in politics because, after Obama and, all the rhetoric with Trump, I think people are more in tune with what's going on because, if you live here, some of the policies are going to affect you too.
But there are some greater concerns around this whole question of the stability of America's democracy. Mikhail Bullard is the sole Bahamian working in the Organization of American States here in D.C.
I think it's important for the Bahamas to have a stable, prosperous U.S. It's in our interest. And so getting a handle on what led to what happened last week, the fact that you may have maybe a quarter of the country now who don't believe in democracy or don't trust the system and those kinds of things, I think those things, fundamental things, need to be addressed because it's in our interest to have, like I said, a stable, prosperous U.S. going forward.
There's a common phrase that says when America catches a cold, the Bahamas blows its nose. That being said, should the Bahamas want to see a healthy economy, it's critical the new Biden administration get a healthy and stable America. From Washington, reporting for our news, I'm Jerome Sawyer.
Brought to you by CostRite, where you can get the membership card that pays for itself.
There's more news coming up, but first, your RF Market Watch.
It's now time for tonight's Financial Market Minute, brought to you by RF, your local investment bank. This has been your Financial Market Minute. To explore the best performing mutual funds in the Bahamas, visit our website at www.rfgroup.com.
When our news returns, mental health experts weigh in on the commissioner's controversial comments. Plus, Bahamian NBA players in action. Stay with us.
Basketball is back, baby, and so is NBA League Pass. Only with Rev Trio. Sign up for Rev Trio today and enjoy NBA League Pass absolutely free, along with incredible prizes including a brand new 50-inch smart TV, NBA gear, and more. With tons of prizes and gear, signing up for Trio is the best on and off-court move this year. Just call 601-8992 or visit www.rev.bs/promotions/trio. Sign up for Rev Trio today and enjoy NBA League Pass absolutely free.
This is our news. Welcome back. Some of the Commissioner of Police's comments from Monday's press conference not sitting well with members of the community who have deemed those comments as insensitive and disappointing. Giorgio Bain has that.
In response to backlash over his shocking description of some of last year's suicide victims as weak, Commissioner of Police Paul Rolle issued an apology to the family members of those who took their own lives. The comment sparked outrage among those who work with persons struggling with mental illness, such as behavioral therapist Harrison Thompson, who said he believes Rolle's comments will hinder those willing to come forward for help.
I was very disappointed, I was upset, and I was shocked to find that a person with such a powerful position in our country can say something about our Bahamian men in such a callous fashion. When you describe someone as weak regarding challenges that they go through mentally and emotionally, it makes it very hard for those individuals to feel comfortable enough to receive the help that they may need in their lives. But I was very happy to also see that the Commissioner had apologized, because it means that there was an understanding that our words do have power.
Dr. Edrika Richardson, who is a marriage and family therapist, says Rolle's comments were indicative of a much wider issue in society.
They seemed very much ignorant as to what actually happens in terms of mental health issues. But I also think it reflects our larger system issues in our country that we don't see or take mental health as seriously as possible, in particular with our male population.
Richardson says Rhodes' comments show there is a need for more sensitivity training among the ranks of the Royal Bahamas Police Force.
If our leadership has such language of insensitivity, I could then only imagine the language of our just everyday or lower support level workers in dealing with those individuals.
Thompson insisted that the commissioner's blunder doesn't take away from his character, but more must follow his apology.
And while we do acknowledge that we can be sorry for our actions, I do believe that it would be most appropriate to also solidify those words with something tangible, whether that be engaging in more community presence or more workshops in the community in which young men from all walks of life, where we can come in and we can chat and we can talk about things without judgment, without fear.
Reporting for our News, I'm Georgie O'Bain.
Tonight in sports, the ranks of professional baseball players increases with another signing and Bahamian NBA players in action. Marcellus Hall has more.
Thanks as usual, and welcome to our sports on a Thursday, everybody. I'm Marcellus Hall. The saying goes, hard work pays off, and that's definitely the case for a number of Bahamians in the last couple of days. Last night, it was Evan Sweeting's turn to see his hard work pay off with a baseball contract. The hard work and dedication paying off for Evan Sweeting yesterday as the youngster signed a deal to become a member of the San Diego Padres organization as a pitcher. Sweeting, another product of iElite Academy, making it official at a signing ceremony late yesterday. Big night for Bahamian DeAndre Ayton as he and the Phoenix Suns squared off against the Houston Rockets on Wednesday. Ayton leading the Suns with a season-high 26 points to go along with 17 rebounds and 5 blocks. Suns getting the win 109-103, snapping a 2-game losing skid in the process. They improved to 8-5 on the season, 4th in the West. Meanwhile, Buddy Hield and the Sacramento Kings took on the LA Clippers. Hield logging 28 minutes. He would finish with 13 points, 3 assists, and 2 rebounds in a losing cause. Kings go down 115-96. They fall to 5-10 on the year. Knicks come to town to play them on Friday. And there it is, your check on sports for this Thursday. Don't forget to check us out tomorrow as another edition of The Locker Room comes your way right here on RTV. I'm Marcellus Hall. Back to you.
When our news comes back from the break, meet the team of COVID ambassadors. Stay with us.
Basketball is back, baby, and so is NBA League Pass, only with Rev Trio. Sign up for Rev Trio today and enjoy NBA League Pass absolutely free, along with incredible prizes, including a brand new 50-inch smart TV, NBA gear, and more. With tons of prizes and gear, signing up for Trio is the best on and off-court move this year. Just call 601-8992 or visit www.rev.bs/promotions/trio. Sign up for Rev Trio today and enjoy NBA League Pass absolutely free.
Welcome back to our news. Looks like we have more beautiful conditions ahead. Greg is back in the Weather Center with the extended outlook.
Thanks again, Christina. And our second look at weather, we take a look at our satellite view around the region. High pressure dominating our weather over the next several days. We do have that weak frontal boundary still across the southeast Bahamas. We expect that to dissipate over the next day or two, but that high pressure will slide out towards the east. That paves the way for another reinforcing shot of cool air getting in here sometime Saturday, and then of course another front expected by early next week. Your boating forecast for the northwest Bahamas tonight through tomorrow. The winds will be out of the southeast to south, 10 to 15 knot, seas running 2 to 4 feet over the ocean. While in the central and southeast Bahamas, we expect those winds to be out of the east to southeast, 10 to 15 knots, seas running 2 to 4 feet over the ocean. Low tide will be at 8:11 tonight. Here's a look now at your national forecast. A look now at your extended forecast through Tuesday. That's a look at our weather. Have a safe night, everyone. Christina?
Thanks, Greg. Throughout the pandemic, police have reported over 4,000 breaches of COVID-19 emergency orders. Tasked with helping keep people in line with those orders are the nearly 100 COVID ambassadors who say it's not an easy task. Our Jasmine Brown reports.
Each day, dozens of COVID-19 ambassadors head to work where they either man stations upstairs or jump into these vehicles where they do on-site visits at local businesses or establishments. And those we spoke to say it's not exactly an easy job. From losing a loved one to losing a job, their reasons for becoming COVID-19 ambassadors may vary, but their determination to help fight against the deadly virus is the same. It's what they say keeps them focused on ensuring the COVID-19 protocols are followed. 26-year-old Amelia Pritchard joined the COVID-19 enforcement unit after losing her grandmother to COVID in October.
For me, it's more of a personal I have a personal connection with it because I understand the seriousness of it. And I just want persons to understand that too, that, you're not just doing this for you, but your entire family.
Pritchard is one of 92 COVID ambassadors who work along with 30-plus police officers assigned to the COVID-19 enforcement unit. Headquartered at the Cable Beach Police Station, the unit was established in August as a second wave of COVID ravaged multiple islands. Businessman Gareth Evans has been at the unit since its inception. He says with his business closed due to the hard times caused by the pandemic, he decided to become an ambassador.
I'm a people's person, right? And anything pertaining to the public that I could also go there and I could educate and inform my Bahamian people, I am also willing to do. And when the opportunity presented itself, I was all down with that.
While they say their work is rewarding, the ambassadors also insist it is not an easy task keeping people in line with the protocols.
In the beginning, it was a bit difficult because, it takes a while to adjust to new things. So I would say the public had to get accustomed to seeing this new task force.
I've came into contact with persons who have been dismissive of the COVID ambassadors, and they sometimes persons get upset because we are out there every day and they see us every day. Sometimes they get annoyed, but we have to realize that it's a bigger picture.
Reporting for our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Thanks, Jasmine, and thank you for joining us for our news tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Christina Dragovich. We'll see you right back here tomorrow night. Stay tuned for On the Record with Jerome Sawyer. Have a beautiful evening, Bahamas.